Have you ever found like the last 3 hours of your day are not productive? You're like watching the clock, you're like scrolling, you're like doing everything but the actual work. You have no more fuel for your work. That's what we're going to talk about in this video today. What I know is that the body was not meant to work productively for 10 to 12 hours per day. And some people are even working more. It actually makes no sense if you stop to think about it. Drifting down from the static on the surface. You call it hitting a wall, a lack of motivation, or a personal failure. But what if I told you it's none of those things? It's actually a brilliant warning signal that your body sends you like clockwork every 90 to 120 minutes. Have you ever noticed? It's a predictable biological alert. It's predictable because you get it every day. It's biological because it's coming from chemicals, neurotransmitters, your body's ability to make energy. It's not coming from willpower, your thoughts. You're not making it up, dreaming it up. It's not even a mindset shift that's needed. The only mindset shift that's needed is to know that you can solve it and to not be down about it, that there's nothing you can do about it. We're going to decode that signal to unlock sustained high performance and trade chronic stress for effortless productivity. Are you ready? Join me. My name is Dr. Millie Lytle. I'm the Energy ND. I've been a naturopathic doctor for over 25 years. Currently, I have a virtual practice. If you want to see me, I offer a burning question review, which is like a second opinion. So you just click the link, fill out the information, the forms, and I send you a 15-minute video. This is one way you can see me. Do you have a health mystery that just won't clear up? I'm Dr. Millie Lytle, the clinical detective. With my burning question review, you send me your specific health struggle and your recent labs. I'll do a deep dive audit to find the missing data and give you a clear, recorded answer. No more guessing. Click the link below to get your review for just $169. Let's solve it. Another way you can see me is to book a 30-minute call, $47. Gets you to talk to me for 30 minutes, and then we can talk about your health concerns and whether or not we're a good fit to work together long term. My staff is always willing to help you, call you back if you want to call me or email me. I also have a hypnosis program called the Clarity Prescription, and it's a 5-session hypnosis program which allows you to solve internal conflict. So pay attention to the ads because I've got an ad for both of those products that I offer, and you can get to know more about them throughout this episode. What I'm offering here is not medical advice. This is education only. I would love to promote some products that I really love. Some products that I love for calming right now are hops water. It's a Sierra Nevada product. Personally, I think it should be in the health aisle, but it's only at the liquor store as far as I've seen so far as a beer alternative. But honestly, it's a herbal tea alternative in my mind. It's extremely calming. I wouldn't recommend it necessarily as a 0% alcohol alternative for socializing because it's very calming, but it's amazing at the end of the day to de-stress. I would also not necessarily recommend it during your workday when you really do need to be productive, but it's incredible to unwind at the end of the day. I don't only recommend substances to unwind. I think that there's a lot you can do internally, and that's one thing that we're talking about today. Even as you take your meetings throughout the day, there's a lot you can do in order to regulate your nervous system, calm down, and switch the script, flip it up. I'm mixing metaphors. What I know is that the body was not meant to work productively for 10 to 12 hours per day, and some people are even working more. It actually makes no sense if you stop to think about it. Our bodies function on rhythms. We have the circadian rhythm, that's the 24-hour body clock. We're meant to be awake during the day. Many studies show that people who have to work shift work late at night have reduced health capacity, have increased life expectancy, shortening, and have a tendency for more chronic disease. So we are meant to be awake during the day, sleep during the night. Now, my good friend Dan Gartenberg over at Sleep Space talks a lot about night larks and night owls, or morning larks and night owls. Night owls are those who are genetically programmed to stay up later and wake up later. They're not necessarily great for the 9 to 5 grind. Whereas morning larks, who are programmed to wake up earlier, that 5 a.m. running club, etc., the 5 a.m. club, need to go to bed a lot earlier. So wherever you find yourself, it's still being awake during the day and being asleep at night. Now, check out some of my meditations for lymphatic flush, how to clean your brain overnight. I just recorded a 3-hour one. I would love your feedback on the hypnosis that allows you to go into sleep and also clean your brain, which is a natural thing that your body does. However, it is heightened, and you can help your lymphatic clearance happen more by doing a few things that I recommend in that video. So definitely check that video out. So when you feel that energy dip, the yawn, the restlessness, that sudden urge to check your phone the 10th time, you force yourself to power through, to push through. You're literally flipping your body's emergency fight or flight switch. I'll talk a lot about the fight or flight. This is also the sympathetic nervous system. That's the adrenaline stress controlled part of our nervous system. We have 2 parts of our autonomic nervous system. These nervous systems do function automatically. But they don't function automatically without our control. So we can induce and sustain the sympathetic nervous system through our choices, and we can induce and sustain the parasympathetic nervous system through our choices. But then once the nervous system's activated, then there's a whole lot of other things that happen automatically. So when the sympathetic nervous system's activated, blood rushes to our extremities, our heart starts pumping, our pupils dilate, and we're afraid, and we're strong, and our adrenaline pumps, and we are getting ready to run or fight the tiger, right? And a lot of people have trained themselves to remain in this nervous system all the time. Even some people even don't come out of this system well when they sleep, and hence they do not sleep well. So this nervous system is controlled by hormones like cortisol, like adrenaline, whereas the rest and digest, the parasympathetic nervous system, is controlled by hormones like GABA and acetylcholine and serotonin and melatonin, which is our sleep hormone. And then there's a whole lot of other digestive hormones that also come into play, because the rest and digest system allows us to sleep, rest, and digest. It also allows us to have an orgasm, where the sympathetic nervous system allows us to be aroused. So interestingly enough, sex operates and uses both parts of the nervous system. And in order to be sufficiently aroused, we need to engage our sympathetic. But in order to be satisfied orgasmically, we need to engage our parasympathetic. And so some people will have a problem with either one of these if their nervous system is either flatlining or in overuse and out of balance. Okay, so I'm not going to go on about that. That's a video for a different day. But some of us are locking ourselves into this stress response all the time. Like, why are you checking your phone 10 times? Maybe it's an addiction, right? So maybe it's that dopamine hit, because we're training ourselves to live in this nervous system. We have to learn to unravel it, unwind it. And sometimes dropping the mic, just dropping it, like just collapsing, is difficult for some reason, because we think it's boring, or because we can't sit still, or we don't know how to relax. Personally, I lived in New York City for 10 years, and I think that most people in New York City are just always operating on their fight or flight nervous system. It's very difficult to contend with the lights, the sounds, the noise, and everybody's always working so hard there. And so I used to say, I have to be my own parent, hold myself by the hand, and put myself to bed by 9 or 9:30, because nothing in New York City is telling you to go to bed. Everything is telling you to stay awake, do more, be bigger, be more successful, go to more, attend more, look better, do better, all of that. And that is a fallacy in a lot of ways. We can't just continue to do better, push harder, push through, because at some point we get exhausted, our bodies burn out, we get sick, and we're not happy. We're not experiencing joy, because we experience joy when we're relaxed. We even have great ideas when we're relaxed. Studies show that walking and meditating is a way to inspire new thoughts. And we're going to cover some of that today, because we need to be training both nervous systems. And actually coherence, or what I'll talk about often, is heart math, which is a system of brain and heart coherence. And so when your brain and your heart are in agreement, getting along, you can efficiently switch between your sympathetic nervous system, your stress nervous system, and your parasympathetic nervous system, your relaxing nervous system. And that's what recovery is. So there's a lot of wearables. Your Apple Watch can tell you what your recovery rate or what your heart rate variability is, your HRV. And what this is your own mind ability. Your mind is initiating it, but your body's doing it. Ability to switch easily from feeling wound up to feeling relaxed, and to know what that feeling is and to feel in charge of that. And this is primarily what I am teaching you on this channel. So today, we are going to be covering how to stop ignoring your body's 120-minute burnout warning and what that feels like. So let's get into it. Is your gut saying one thing, but your logic says another? That internal tug of war is exhausting. I'm Dr. Millie. I created the Clarity prescription to end that worry and bring you mental peace. You'll get 5 45-minute one-on-one virtual sessions with me to resolve deep internal conflict. Click the link in the description to book your sessions for $9.97. Your clear path is waiting. Your system is in sympathetic overdrive. You're rushing from meeting to meeting. You are trying to meet deadlines. You're trying to get a million things done. You're trying to multitask. I know my brain is naturally goes to this place too. And that's another reason why I started this channel, because I am the best candidate, despite my ability to chill, which I've taught myself, and I'm dreamy Pisces. So I do have that ability as well. But to be able to hone it all and to use it all when you need it, and systematically, and to allow it to be useful for you, to catch these little bits of breaks, because it's not about sustaining and always being calm. That's not what it's about either. It's not about always being in parasympathetic nervous system, always lazy, always resting, always digesting, always orgasming, always sleeping. No, we need to be able to harness our energy. We want to feel like pumped. We want to get charged, right? And so that's also important, but we can't stay in that state. We can't always remain in that state, because when we do, we're flooding our system with cortisol and adrenaline, which overrides our natural need for rest. And we do have a natural need for rest, because 8 hours of the day, roughly, some people a little less, some people a little more, we need to sleep. We need to sleep, guys. That's when all the crud from our brain flushes out through the lymphatic system, like I talked about in that amazing meditation that I did. Still working on all the sound and everything. I'm not a sound engineer. The consequences are no joke. The consequences are real. Research consistently shows that ignoring these natural cycles leads to a whole host of health problems. We're talking chronic anxiety, depression, digestive issues, tension headaches, weakened immune system that make you catch every bug going around. It wrecks your sleep, sometimes chronically, developing chronic insomnia, mind rushing, worrying, inability to relax. It can lead to weight gain. It can lead to weight loss initially, but then it can lead to weight gain over time, depending on your metabolism and who you are as an individual and how you respond and how your body responds. And it impairs your memory. You can no longer, stress sometimes makes you more agile in the mind. It makes you quick. But over long periods of time, it's gaps. You can't remember. You can't remember somebody's name. You can't think of the information or procure the information that you need when you need it. And that can be stress. And by the end of the day, your memory has been impaired, your focus has been impaired. By the end of the day, you're like the shell of your former self. How do you recover? Maybe you recover over alcohol, maybe you recover over marijuana. And, I'm not saying that there's never a purpose for those, but if this is a solution, or maybe you recover over exercise, now that can be good, but it just depends. If you're using the exercise to generate more energy for yourself, then you're again using energy to produce cortisol, to produce adrenaline, and you're never allowing yourself to get into that unwinding state, that relaxing state, where the body does heal, rest, recover. So these things are all important. If the body does not heal, rest, recover on a daily basis, then the need for that builds up. It just, I didn't heal, rest, recover today. I'll try to heal, rest, recover the next day. And if I can't heal, rest, recover the next day, I'll try to heal, rest, recover the next day. And over time, our performance wanes because we're never allowing and offering that possibility to our body. So I'm talking in general concepts here, but I think that you get what I'm talking about. So by the end of the day, if you're feeling like all you can do is lay on the couch because you're too exhausted to connect with family, you're too exhausted to enjoy life that you're supposedly working so hard for, why are you earning all this money? Why are you working so hard if you're not able to enjoy being with your loved ones? If you're not able to enjoy being by yourself, if all you can do is just literally flake out in front of the TV, or even worse, on your phone, which of course just ignites these stress hormones all over again, never allowing you really to chill. Netflix and chill, yes, but not on the phone. The phone, because of the lights, the blue lights constantly glaring at us, it always stimulates that stress response. So we can't really relax on our phone, guys. We're always kind of working and stressing when we're on our phone, regardless as if you're doom scrolling. If you're doom scrolling, even worse, because then you're also stimulating those negative feelings of fear, of anxiety, of worry, of concern, of over concern for people you might not even know. You might not even have all the information. You are powerless to help them. I'm not saying don't help people in need, absolutely help people in need, but don't bombard yourself with hours of urgent cries when you're not actually able or going to get up and do something about it to help them and to appease your own self. It's really an emotion that doesn't go anywhere. It's like guilt, right? Like, what's the point of guilt? If you're going to feel guilty and then do something about it, okay, it solves a problem. But if you can't solve the problem that you're going to feel guilty about, then it's really just a wasted, useless, negative emotion. And that's my soapbox about that. So if by the end of the day, you're basically useless to yourself and others and not able to enjoy life, this is not high performance, guys. Even if you're performing high during the day, if you're not performing highly when you get home, and I don't mean continuing at the same pace, but if you're literally conking out on the couch and doing nothing, and trust me guys, I've been there, I'm there sometimes, I'm not saying never do that, but if you're doing this 5-7 days a week, then there's a problem. You're stressed and you're suffering from stress and your nervous system is dysregulated. And it's a high stakes gamble with your health. We didn't even mention heart disease, the number one killer, right? And the effect of blood pressure in response to cortisol and adrenaline. You're trying to run away from a tiger, your blood pressure, your pulse go up. You're always trying to run away. Same thing when you're feeling like deadlines and cramped and you have to, and it might not even be imposed by your boss. It might be imposed by your boss and rigid rules at work, but it also just might be self-imposed that you're a perfectionist and that you have to do better and that you have to do more. And we need to talk ourselves out of that and also have a way that we can biologically get ourselves out of that. Here's the science behind your body's inner timer. What is this signal I'm talking about? It's not some mystical phenomenon. It's a well-documented biological cycle known as the ultradian rhythm. You heard me talk about the circadian rhythm. That's the 24-hour body clock that dictates that we sleep for 8 hours a day and that we're awake for 16 hours a day. But within that 24-hour body clock, there is a rhythm called the ultradian rhythm. The ultradian rhythms are recurring cycles that happen many times throughout our day, usually in 90 to 120-minute intervals. These rhythms were first identified by sleep researcher Nathaniel Kleitman, who called them the basic rest activity cycle. So first we rest, then we have activity, then we rest, then we have activity, then we rest, then we have activity. These govern our energy from birth. Each ultradian cycle is like a wave, and in two distinct parts: a peak, which is the top of the wave, and a trough, which is the bottom of the wave. The first part is the performance peak, which lasts for about 60 to 90 minutes. And during this window, your body is wired for high performance, so you can get a lot of shit done. Your heart rate, hormone levels, brainwave activity all ramp up. This is when you feel sharp, focused, creative. Your brain is firing on all cylinders. You need a lot of energy at this point. You need fuel from food, and because your brain is firing. But this high state energy burns a massive amount of fuel, especially oxygen and glucose. Okay, so oxygen from breathing, glucose from eating. Since we're talking about brainwaves on this channel, this is when we're at our peak performance, our brain waves are in gear. Beta waves are also during our productive waking hours. So gamma and beta is what we're working for. So it's very expensive fuel, if you will. You can't do this forever. You can't sprint forever. It's like a sprint, but you're actually using oxygen. So it's a 400-meter dash. I'm Canadian, so I think of meters, but it's once around the track. It's not a 100-yard sprint. Okay. So this peak inevitably leads to the second phase, which is the ultradian trough. So it's the low end of the wave. Remember, a wave looks like this. There's a peak and there's a trough. And the trough is about 15 to 20 minutes of recovery. As your resources get used up, your body sends clear signals that it's time for a break. This isn't a weakness. This is not something that only happens to you. This is not something that you should push through or bypass. As your resources get used up, don't you want to replenish them so that you then have the resources to do another 90 to 120 minutes of high functioning, high peak performance activity? So this is a non-negotiable biological function. You start to feel that familiar brain fog, some hunger, some restlessness, some distraction, being easily distractible. You know, your brain doesn't have the glucose it needs anymore. You more efficient way just to eat something, have a little food break. And so this is your body's intelligent request for a timeout to rebalance its biochemistry and clear out metabolic waste. I also said it needed oxygen. So it needs, where do we get water? Where do we get oxygen? We get oxygen from water. We get oxygen from breathing, okay? Two simple things that we could do to replenish some of our fuel, even if we're not taking any glucose, even if I'm not talking about eating teaspoons of pure sugar here. I'm talking about your body being able to extract glucose from, a good snack. When you ignore this trough period and you just push through to the next performance peak, you will be less capable than you were during the first performance peak. So you'll get less done, the quality of your work will suffer, and you'll feel worse doing it. You won't be as happy. You won't be as happily productive. You won't be that flow. You won't be in that peak state. So if you skip enough of these breaks over the day or over the course of weeks, months, years, the damage accumulates into the crushing exhaustion we call burnout. So that wall you hit isn't just a barrier to your performance, it's a biological requirement for it. But there's a fix. How to work with your body, not against it. So the solution is not to work harder, somehow be better, not take breaks, train yourself to not take breaks, somehow induce hormesis or stress even more. It's not even to really exercise, although if you went for like a walk, then you would increase your heart rate, so you would taking more breath reps, right? And you would be getting more oxygen. Deeper breathing is definitely a good idea at these trough times. Your body is already talking to you. So it's important that you work with your body, not against it. So the solution is not to work harder, it's to work smarter by aligning your day with these natural rhythms. It's about shifting from a grueling marathon mindset that the day is somehow a long stretch of the day and you have to pace yourself through it. You do have to pace yourself through it. However, if you break it down into a series of shorter, focused, powerful sprints or 400-meter dashes, then you'll get further. You'll get further and you'll feel better doing it. So here's a simple 3-step plan to start working with your body instead of consistently fighting it. Step 1, become a detective of your own energy. Be curious about yourself. Rather than being judgmental and saying, oh, I'm bad, I'm lazy, I'm weak, I'm getting old, I'm menopause, it's all these things. No, be curious. Your body is already talking to you. Want to understand what it's saying. Be a good listener. So you just need to learn the language. So for the next few days, observe, okay? Observe yourself. Keep a simple note of when you feel the most on, when you feel your best, and when you start to fade. How long does it take? Does it take 90 minutes for you? Does it take 120 minutes? Does it take 85 minutes? The signals that your trough is coming into play or coming into effect, that you're starting to wane, is usually subtle at first. And so we can get better at noticing the subtle symptoms without having to wait until we're hangry, right? Have you ever waited too long and you've been like hangry or you've been exhausted? So these are both signs that you're not taking enough breaks throughout the day. It just depends on how your biochemistry is telling you, is metabolizing the energy, and what your current state of health is at the moment. So you might start to yawn. That's your body's way of getting more oxygen. You might get heavy eyes, tired eyes, need to put on your glasses, need to rub your eyes, need to use eye drops. You might start rereading the same sentences 3 times or more, not being able to focus. Or maybe it's like a sudden twitchy urge to check social media to distract yourself from the task at hand, or start to feel fidgety, like I touch my face or play with my hair. I'm one of those fidgeters. So however you are, other common signs are just feeling suddenly hungry, irritable, thirsty. Now, if you're positively adapted to this, then you might actually have the instinct to get up and move. And that means that you are trained well already. Or if you're already trained to drink water or to have a little snack. Not so much candy. Now, candy works, but you don't want to be like eating chocolate or self-medicating with real candy all the time because it's not nutritious, right? Like, does it serve the brain? Yes. But the problem is when we're actually eating glucose, eating fructose, sugar, then it gets burned up really quickly. Whereas if the sugar is embedded in complex carbohydrates and protein and water for hydration and fiber, then the body digests it a lot slower. And so then your glucose you can make use of your glucose, small amounts of glucose that your blood sends into your brain on a consistent basis, as opposed to one spike of glucose and then your brain uses it all up and then you don't have any more, and then you need to have another candy or another sip of Coke or another sip of coffee, right, which is caffeine. If you're putting sugar in your coffee, then you're really looking for a sugar hit, and you're also getting that kind of cortisol adrenaline pump. And the coffee is really suppressing your body's signals to tell you that you're tired, as opposed to really giving you energy. Energy comes from oxygen, comes from fuel, food fuel. The coffee is really just dampening your body's ability, or any caffeine, dampening your body's ability to tell you that it's tired. So you're basically just telling your body to shut up. And we don't really want to do that. Not really. We don't want to do that on this channel. And so once we start like fidgeting or going to social media, we might think that these are distractions, but they're not distractions just to like habituate yourself out of, tiny habits or something, habituate yourself out. That might do something, but really that's not the root cause of you turning to your devices or turning to fidgeting. We can look at them like data points. Once you identify your specific cues, then you can plan for a strategic pause before you're totally drained. So if I identify that I start, picking at my skin 90 minutes, then after 90 minutes, then I want to take a break after 80 minutes. So I'm not reaching that wall. And then I can program it into my phone, and then I can have a snack, and I can have a jump around, and I can have a glass of water. Speaking of water, when I have Pavlov dogged myself, I have programmed myself to drink water every time I start talking about it. I've always done this for 25 years since I've been in practice, not quite that long, but over 20 years. Because every time I would tell a patient to drink water, I would also drink water myself so that I remain hydrated. But I'm just going to go get it. Step 2, master your strategic pause. So when you feel that dip coming on, don't panic. The answer isn't to quit for the day. It's to take a deliberate strategic break for about 20 minutes. It could be 10 minutes, but 10 to 20 minutes. And the quality of this break is everything. It's not just a break. The goal is to let your brain completely disengage and recharge. And so here's what to do. Get up and move away from your desk. Go for a short walk. Go outside if you can. Touch grass. That is very rejuvenating. Very disengaging, really cuts you off from the tech by going outside to the nature and just getting the sunshine and the fresh air for oxygen. So we are also keeping in mind disengaging and recharging. Recharging is getting oxygen, getting your body moving, having a snack, having some water. So ideally outside, get some light stretching, get a glass of water. You could also do some deep breathing exercises, and you will find some videos for doing deep breathing exercises, that type of meditation on this channel. And as I continue to record more videos, you'll see more of those. If you don't have 10 to 20 minutes to take a break, we don't always. And sometimes we need a break before the 90-minute period. And so doing deep breathing exercises, every 15 minutes, every half an hour for 10 seconds, right? This can go a long way towards helping you. So do stay tuned for those. Let me know how you like them. And if you can't get outside, you can just sit and look out the window and let your mind wander. Not think about work. Try to do some deep breathing. Try to do some stretching. Try to think about your dog. You could do a heart math meditation. And I do have an affiliate code for heart math because I do love this device. Now you can try out heart math, download the app, try it out. You can use your finger as the sensor. If you don't have a sensor, it will approximate what your heart rate variability is. But if you do want to purchase the sensor, you do get a 10% discount using my code in the description box, in the link. And that's also where to find all of my products. If you want to engage in hypnosis with me, if you want a second opinion, if you want to discuss with me how you become my patient, then you can do all of those things, and the links are in the description box. So please do that if you feel so inclined. And here's what not to do. Don't use your break to scroll through your phone. Don't fire off emails. Don't watch stressful news clips. All of these things that I talked about earlier, those activities will just continue to stimulate your adrenaline, your cortisol, your worry centers, and keep your brain revved up. So you won't be giving yourself the break that you think you might be. You'll be preventing the very recovery that you need. So a break is a complete change of gear, right? It's about doing something that requires zero focused attention. This is self-care. This is burnout prevention. This is important work that you're doing, even though it feels like a vacation, and it should. You deserve it. You're very hardworking. You need a break. And it's a biological prerequisite for your next round of peak performance. With every ultradian rhythm round, you are performing well. Your work's not deteriorating with every round because you haven't nourished yourself enough. And remember the snack. I definitely recommend high protein snack, piece of fruit, some veggies, some hummus, some peanut butter, natural, organic, always as possible. The best quality snack you can get, a bite of your lunch, whatever you got. Keep snacks also at your desk or in your briefcase if possible. Step 3, structure your day in sprints. Let's call them sprints. It's not exactly sprints because sprinting doesn't use oxygen and this does use oxygen. So please forgive that element lacking in the metaphor. It's more of a 400-meter dash, like the loop around the track. It's not the 100-meter dash. But it's not a marathon, right? 26 miles. So I ran a half a marathon 2 years ago. It was hard, okay? So anyways, but I'm very proud that I did it. Otherwise, you don't have to have half a marathon or a marathon in order to have endurance. You can be running, like the endurance is needed in 5K, in 3 miles. In a mile, you need some endurance, okay? Depends on where you are with your running, because some people regard a mile as a sprint. So there is a relative perspective here, and we're not all talking the same language. So let's just keep moving. Please go with me, structuring your day in sprints. Once you know your signals and appreciate the need for a real break, you can start to architect your day around these 90 minutes or whatever your period of time, these focus blocks, and then 20-minute recovery periods, if you can afford that. So what we're really working with here is like just under 2 hours of time that you have, like a 90-minute block and then a 20-minute break. So that's, if I could add up my math, that would be 110 minutes, right? So 120 minutes is 2 hours. Now, if you're longer, if you're a little shorter, this is all you. You have to task yourself with observing yourself over a few days. And you also want to task yourself with observing how it feels when you do the behaviors that I've recommended, or how you feel when you do the behaviors that you usually do, which are probably not working for you if you're watching this video. Once you know your signals, once you know the time period, you can, if you really are so inclined, you can break this out into blocks of time in your calendar so that your alarm goes off, so that you can see it against your meeting, so that you can schedule your meetings accordingly, so you can schedule your best brain work, the work that needs your best brain power, your gamma waves as well as your delta waves, at the times that you perform the best. Now, you also might perform best in the morning, or you might perform best in the afternoon. So that's also just something to be said for. You just might have peak times at different times of day. You might actually have peak times in the evening. Some people do. And especially if you're a creative type, or you work from home, or you are more in control of your own time, and you're not sitting at an office from 9 to 5, then you might do some of your best work in the evening or the night. And you can still apply what I'm talking about here, because this still should be predictable in helping you meet your productivity. And just know that I'm not talking about working for 16 hours a day. But even if you are a person who needs to work for 16 hours a day sometimes, hopefully you're not doing this for 300 days of the year. But if you're a person who needs to work 16 hours a day, sometimes, like you're an editor and then you have to sit and do crunch out a project, or if you're putting together an event and you need to put together that event and it requires a lot of hours as you meet your deadline, you can still apply what I'm discussing here, okay? And let me know in the comments how this all works for you. It's really all about yourself. It's not about doing what I say. It's really about applying these principles to your best self, okay? I've said this about 3 times. Once you know your signals and appreciate the need for the break, and you've done this kind of exploration of yourself, you can start to architect your day around these time periods of focus and these break times. So identify the most important brain draining tasks, the deep work like the writing, the coding, the big picture planning, and schedule those for your 90-minute sprints. During that time, go into a full-on lockdown, full-on focus time, mute your notifications, close the extra tabs to give yourself that opportunity to focus with undivided attention on that peak task that needs all your brain activity. Then, when the 90 minutes are up, or when you feel your trough beginning, then you stop. You feel those symptoms coming on, you stop. Take your 10 to 20, ideally it's 15 to 20 minute strategic pause. Then you can dive into your next sprint fully recharged. So let's do it. You will be amazed to find that there are 3 or 4 of these focused cycles, and you are far more productive than plowing through for 8 hours. Because what I find when you plow through for 8 hours is like the last 3 hours are not productive. Have you ever found that? And this is how elite performers in almost every field, from musicians to athletes to organizers, organize their efforts. Intense focus followed by deliberate recovery. It's not about how long you work, but about the quality of focus you bring to the time you have and the quality of escape, the quality of disengagement that you have and nourishment that you have, refueling that you have during your breaks. So listen, guys, for years, probably years and years, you've been taught to treat your body like an opponent. Something to be conquered, something to master, and pushed past its limits for the sake of productivity. I'm Canadian. We're actually less competitive than Americans. Now that I live in the States, and I lived in New York City for 10 years, like I said, I really see how, and not even, you don't have to live in New York City. Actually, the way that children are competing in sports in this country is a lot, okay? And so we're really trained to work all the time in this country. Like, we're really trained to work for the corporation, work for the man. And this is a social problem because it's leading to so much chronic disease for the population. And as a naturopathic doctor, as somebody who has worked with women and women's health and hormones and stress, with hypnosis, in mental health clinic, I worked in a psychiatry clinic, and when I first started practicing, learned cognitive behavioral therapy, learned psychodynamic psychotherapy. I ran group with the doctor and a couple of other doctors on the team. I was doing the nutrition component for mental health and they were doing the therapy component, but I worked in this clinical area. And so as somebody who's worked in all of these situations throughout my career, I've seen productivity, the productivity traps, the self-imposed perfectionism, but also the corporate call to be more productive. And even though workplace wellness is a lot better than it used to be, we're still not empowering employees, right? And as employees, you need to empower yourself. You need to take responsibility of yourself, because nobody's going to say, oh, stop working, work less hard, take more breaks. Oh, you need mental health break every 90 minutes, go do it. No, you have to do that on your own. You have to find your productivity. Now, unless you are at a call center and you are sit down and forced, unless you're like strapped to your computer, right, which is a hellish way to treat people, then you got to be doing what you can to prevent your burnout, to preserve your health, and to really, I think that this is the best way that I can help educate people here on YouTube and in public speaking to prevent chronic disease is through this type of nervous system regulation, this type of training ourselves to live our life a little differently. And it's not a complete overhaul, because you might already take a break in the morning, a coffee break and a smoke break, and instead of getting oxygen, you're getting carbon dioxide delivered to your brain. But you might be going outside, which is what non-smokers often complain about when they're with their smoking counterparts, right? Especially when they're working in a strict office space where you're not really allowed to take breaks. But if you're a smoker, you might as well start smoking so you can get a break. But your body is not your enemy. And I am here to teach you that. Your body is your partner. Your body is the container for who you are. It houses your emotions and your soul. It takes you from A to B. It allows you to engage with all of the people that you love. It allows you to pet your dog. It allows you to be beautiful, but it also just might allow you to be capable. And even if you're not 100% capable, or even if you're disabled in some way, you're still abled, right? And your body is what allows you to do this. And by hating on our bodies, we're not reaching the end point that we're striving for. That is not the right road. The right road is not to hate and overly correct and to criticize our body, when our body is just here to do the job. It's just here to do the job. And your mind and your emotions and your soul are what has to guide your body. Now, I am a proponent. Sometimes the body leads, and that's also an excellent thing to do, especially when your mind can't make up its own mind. Different topic, different day. But that feeling of hitting a wall is not a sign of weakness. It's a biological roadmap to sustainable success, because it's letting you know, it's teaching you what your body needs and how to preserve your health and how to preserve your productivity and how to increase your productivity in a way that works for you. Oftentimes in corporate America, in corporate culture, even just in high performance work, we want more freedom. And this is a way that you can take that freedom, because you're deciding how to take your breaks and what you do on your breaks and how to be more satisfied and rejuvenated from them. So that 120-minute signal isn't a bug in your system, it's a feature, okay? If you want to think in those types of terms, stop punishing yourself for hitting a wall, start listening to it. By embracing your natural ultradian rhythms, you can finally step off the burnout hamster wheel. You won't get more done by being on it. You'll get it done with less stress. You won't just get more done. You'll get it done with less stress, with more creativity, and a more profound sense of well-being, a more satisfied result, a happier you. You don't need a whole new life to feel better. You need a new relationship with the signals of your body. These signals your body is already sending you that you, quite frankly, may have been ignoring for years, or criticizing or judging. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the very first sign your body sends when it's time for a break? Is it a yawn? Is it tired eyes? Is it grabbing your phone and getting on Instagram, YouTube? Or is it something else? Is it a yawn? Is it that itch to grab your phone? Or is it something else? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'm excited to see what you'll discover when you start paying attention to your ultradian rhythms. I'm Dr. Millie. See you on the next one.